9 tiers of wealth. 9 very different lives. And somewhere between these rungs, your life satisfaction quietly stops growing. The surprising part? Most people spend decades chasing the wrong tier without ever realizing it. One of these people is focused on rent. One of them is genuinely free. One of them owns 3 homes and can't remember when he last laughed. Guess which one has $100 million? You might be surprised. Today, we're climbing every single tier. 0, 10,000, 100 million. What your day looks like, who you call, what you focus on at 6 a.m., and which level actually matches the life you think you want. Most finance content talks about how to build wealth. Almost none of it shows you what wealthy actually feels like, day by day, decision by decision, freedom by freedom. That's the part that would actually change the choices you make today. Research on thousands of people reveals something fascinating. Life satisfaction climbs fast from tight budgets to comfort, then quietly flattens. After a certain tier, more money buys surprisingly little emotionally. Knowing where that line sits will save you decades. So here's our map. 9 tiers. Each one is a different version of you. Each one has its own gifts. And each one has a trade-off that most people walk into without noticing. Let's start at the bottom.
Tier 1. $0 saved. This is where most people actually begin their financial journey. And if you've ever been here, you already know nothing else in this video really matters until you step past it. At 0, money isn't abstract. It's minutes. Every hour feels accounted for. Every choice is filtered through one question. Can I afford this today? Not, is this wise long-term? Just, can I make it through the week? At this tier, financial obligations feel heavy. Credit cards, monthly bills, short-term loans. Each payment clears space for next month. It's not a long-term plan. It's a steady rhythm that leaves little room for building anything bigger yet. Choices narrow. You don't always pick what you want. You pick what fits the budget. Healthier options feel like a luxury. Small surprises, a tire, a dental visit, feel much bigger than the number on the bill.
The trickiest part of 0 isn't the money, it's the time. 2 jobs, long commutes, tired evenings. You're not short on dollars alone, you're short on hours. And hours are the raw material of every tier above. The first step is surprisingly small. $1,000 in a savings account. That's it. That single buffer is the difference between a flat tire ruining your year and a flat tire being just a small afternoon inconvenience. This tiny buffer quietly shifts your nervous system. You stop flinching at every text message. You stop avoiding your mailbox. The background noise of financial worry softens. And for the first time, you can plan further than next week. Stepping up from 0 isn't heroic. It's quietly boring. Cancel 1 subscription. Earn $50 extra a week. Automate a $20 transfer. Do this for 6 months, and you're no longer at tier 1. You're at the door of tier 2. $10,000 may not sound big, but when you've climbed from 0 to 10, something inside you changes. You now believe, quietly, maybe for the first time, that real financial progress is genuinely possible for you. $10,000 doesn't change your home, your car, or your wardrobe. It changes your shoulders. They lower an inch. You sleep a little deeper. The background hum of financial stress quietly fades into the background.
But this tier has a trade-off. The moment you feel safer, the urge to reward yourself grows. A new phone, a vacation, a car upgrade. And many people spend their $10,000 right here, then spend years climbing it again. This is lifestyle creep in its earliest form. Every raise, every bonus, every windfall, absorbed instantly by a slightly nicer life. You feel wealthier. You're not. You're just running faster on the same wheel. The educational move at $10,000 is genuinely boring.
Open a brokerage. Learn about broad index funds. Automate a monthly deposit. It won't feel exciting. It shouldn't. Real progress is built during the years nobody's watching. From 10,000 to 100,000 is the quietest climb in personal finance. It's slow. It's invisible. Friends won't notice. Social media won't clap. But something extraordinary happens at exactly 6 figures, and almost nobody talks about it.
Charlie Munger famously called the first 100,000 the hardest. Not because the money is big, but because below it, compounding barely moves. Above it, the math starts doing the work you used to do alone. At 100,000, your savings quietly hire their first assistant, an invisible one. At a rough long-term average, that assistant contributes around $8,000 a year, while you sleep, eat, travel, or live your life. At this tier, surprises stop feeling like earthquakes. A $1,000 unexpected expense doesn't shake you. You can fly home for a family event, replace a laptop, say yes to a friend's wedding. Small freedoms, big shift. Your lifestyle hasn't really changed. Same apartment, same car, but inside your head, a quiet upgrade happened. You stopped playing defense. For the first time, you're playing offense with your own life. But here's the 6-figure trade-off. You feel comfortable enough to upgrade. Rent, car, clothes, and suddenly your $8,000 in growth disappears into new monthly bills. Many people stall at this exact tier for a decade. Stepping past 6 figures is a rule many people hate. Keep your lifestyle one tier behind your income. Every raise gets split. Every bonus gets half saved. Your lifestyle grows slower than your savings. Boring? Disciplined? It works.
At 6 figures, your mindset shifts. You're no longer someone trying to survive month by month. You're someone building something. That internal shift is bigger than the balance itself. Lose it, and you could earn $1 million and still feel behind. $500,000. A tier almost nobody talks about, and that's exactly why it matters. Because this is where one way of thinking quietly ends, and another, completely different, gently begins. At 500,000, financial pressure doesn't disappear, it changes shape. It stops being about monthly bills and starts being about optimization. How do I grow this replaces how do I protect this? Different species of thinking. At this tier, your savings quietly earn what your job used to. With historical long-term averages, $500,000 can generate around $40,000 a year, close to a full-time salary, without you clocking in. That's when something inside you changes. For the first time, a big question appears. If I didn't have to work this hard, what would I actually do? $500,000 gives you enough runway to ask it. Almost nobody has a ready answer. That pause is the real milestone. Here, the paths split. Some people accelerate to reach $1 million faster. Others slow down, reduce their hours, start a business they actually love. Both are valid. Only one is right for you. And that choice is personal, not mathematical. At $500,000, bigger life moves become realistic. A first home, a real wedding, a gap year, supporting a parent through a tough period. Money stops being abstract and starts being a tool that actually changes real lives. You also start noticing something quiet. Friends with a lot less money talk about monthly bills. Friends with a lot more talk about taxes. You sit exactly in the middle, and for the first time, you can see both worlds clearly. And a new consideration appears: taxes. Below this tier, they're a mild nuisance. At this tier, they're strategic. Every dollar you don't plan for is a year you delay options. Many people here still file the way they did at 22. The educational concepts aren't exotic. Learn about tax-advantaged accounts. Consider an HSA as a long-term tool. Hold index funds long-term. A good CPA at this tier often pays for themselves many times over, just by closing simple inefficiencies. Now we arrive at the most talked about number in personal finance: the million.
You've been hearing about it since you were a kid. You'll finally stand on it in a moment. And honestly, it's not what culture has been telling you. Culture sold you a fantasy. Yachts, supercars, private jets. Here's the calm truth. $1 million today does not mean luxury. It means comfort. Specifically, I don't have to worry about next month comfort. That's it. Real millionaires often look like regular people with paid-off cars and index funds. They don't feel rich. They feel secure. And if you interview them, almost all of them say the same sentence. I thought it would feel bigger. Run the math. 1 million at a commonly cited 4% withdrawal rate is around $40,000 a year, before taxes. In most big cities, that's steady, not luxurious. This is why millionaire stopped meaning extravagant somewhere around 1990.
So let's redefine terms. Millionaire means comfortable. Wealthy means your time is yours. Those are not the same tier. They're not even the same universe. And the distance between them is larger than 0 to 1 million. Here's why it doesn't feel big. Most of a typical millionaire's net worth is locked. Home equity they live inside. Retirement accounts they can't easily access for years. The actual spendable cash, often under $100,000. The number hides a lot. Identity also shifts here. You stop saying, I can't afford that. You start saying, I don't want to spend on that. Tiny words, big difference. Your worth is no longer set by a monthly paycheck. You become the source, not the recipient. People change around you too. Some friends create more distance. Others suddenly have a business idea they'd love help with. This is the first tier where money starts shaping your relationships, sometimes gently, sometimes noticeably. So if $1 million doesn't buy yachts, what does it actually buy? Optionality. You can navigate a career change without panic, walk away from a workplace that doesn't fit, decline a client who disrespects you. That quiet power is the real dividend. But the late-night thoughts don't disappear. They evolve. Healthcare, kids' education, aging parents, industry shifts, long cycles. You trade one set of considerations for another, slightly bigger picture set. That's the honest part most videos skip. 5 million. Here's where something genuinely different happens. Not wealthier, different. This is the tier where, for most people, in most places, working becomes optional, permanently. And that changes everything about your day. Around $200,000 a year, passively, over the long run. In most of the world, that's an upper middle class life without ever opening a laptop. You're officially free to step away. Whether you do or not, it's now a choice. At this tier, your scarcest resource finally changes. For most of your life, money was limited and time felt infinite. Now it flips. Time is precious. Money is calm. And your focus shifts to what money was always meant to protect. Your Monday is no longer someone else's priority. You can teach, travel, start a passion project, or keep working. But now it's because you love it, not because rent is due. That shift is the real definition of wealth. Not the number, the shift.
Here's the honest truth. Research consistently shows emotional well-being roughly plateaus somewhere between 1 and 5 million. Beyond that, happiness doesn't drop. It just stops rising. Each extra million buys less of the thing you actually wanted. Life at 5 million is calm, not loud. A nice home, not a mansion. 1 car, maybe 2, maybe a small second property. A 4-day work week if you want one. Quiet, steady, deeply underrated, and completely invisible to social media. And if you have kids, this is the tier where your family tree visibly bends. They can pick careers based on passion, not pressure. Education is handled. Their first home is possible. You've quietly rewritten 2 generations of story in 1 lifetime. Here's the trade-off unique to this tier. You've essentially won. The math agrees. The challenge? Many people can't stop. Ambition doesn't have a built-in pause button. And the next rung, 10 million, quietly trades freedom back for something different. 10 million. Life sparkles here. But pay close attention, because this is where a subtle corridor starts forming around you. Golden walls are still walls. Many people at this tier won't even notice when the door quietly closes behind them. At this tier, the temptation is to buy identity. Watches, cars, addresses, memberships. Each purchase quietly whispers, "You've made it." Each purchase also quietly demands maintenance, matching clothes, matching friends, matching expectations.
Your social circle quietly reorganizes. You start meeting people who look just like you on paper. Nice homes, nice portfolios, but conversations drift toward tax strategies and which school their kids attend. Some warmer friendships from before slowly fade. And here's the math nobody warns you about. Passive income at 10 million is around 400,000, but a typical 10 million lifestyle often costs around 420. You can technically drift backward, invisibly, smoothly. Big assets demand big attention. Houses, cars, travel properties, tax structures, advisors. Your free life now requires a team to sustain it. You stopped working for a manager. You started managing a small portfolio of possessions. Psychologically, this is the tier where enough is tested hardest. You have objectively more than you'll ever need. Your brain, wired for more, still wants more. If you don't consciously define enough here, the climb never slows. The calmest 10 million households do something counterintuitive. They dial back. Smaller house, fewer logos, more books, more walks. They use the wealth as insulation, not display, and they often end up more content than their neighbors in 3-car garages. Here's the paradox. Many people at 10 million work more hours than they did at 1 million, managing assets, businesses, complex portfolios. The corridor is gilded, but it's still a corridor, and you walked in holding the keys. 50 million. Now we step outside ordinary life entirely. This tier isn't doctors or lawyers. This is founders, executives, long-term investors, families who built it. The air gets thinner, the rules shift, and almost nobody talks about what actually happens up here. At 50 million, you often hire a small financial operation to run your life. A family office, investment managers, tax specialists, estate planners. You no longer check accounts daily. You get quarterly briefings. Your wealth becomes an institution, not a balance. Your holdings stop being just stocks and bonds. They become private equity, alternative funds, direct real estate holdings, trust structures, markets that typically require either being there or knowing someone there. A financial world most investors never encounter. And then comes the quieter social landscape. You can't casually mention stress without sounding out of touch. Old friends may assume life is different now. New acquaintances sometimes want something specific. Trust becomes your most valuable currency. Your emotional bandwidth narrows. You can't easily discuss a tough investment year with siblings managing monthly bills. You can't fully confide in employees. You're left with a small peer group, often living in other cities, other time zones, other realities. But this tier unlocks something genuinely meaningful too. Real philanthropy. Funding a clinic, endowing a scholarship, backing a founder you believe in. Money that used to buy comfort now supports someone else's leap forward. That's a gift most people never experience. And the quieter side. Privacy becomes a budget line. Lawyers on retainer, security consultations, careful awareness of who enters your life. At 50 million, you are no longer just a person. You are a small institution with its own complexity. 100 million, the final tier we're visiting. This is not simply wealthier than 10 million. It's a different dimension. It stops being about you. It starts being about the century after you. Welcome to the legacy tier. At this tier, the question changes entirely. It's no longer, how much do I need? It's, what does this money become long after I'm gone? Trusts, foundations, heirs, advisors who will outlive you. Wealth becomes a living entity with its own biography.
Thoughtfully structured, this tier rewrites 5 generations. College for everyone. Starter capital for real businesses. Safety nets instead of pressure. A child born into this family is, from the first breath, more free than most people on the planet. Without planning, it can dissolve the same families it was meant to support. Disengaged heirs, drift from purpose, family disagreements, fortunes that don't last. There's a reason most family wealth doesn't survive past the 3rd generation. Wealth without purpose fades. 100 million also unlocks real impact, not symbolic charity, actual institutions, a hospital wing, a research lab, a scholarship that runs forever. You become a small private engine of long-term change, even after you're no longer here. And yet, ask most people at this tier what they treasure most, and they'll describe a morning like this: simple, unscheduled, undisturbed. The irony is striking. Every rung they climbed was ultimately to protect moments money never actually created. No dollar figure, not even 9 of them, buys back the years, or relationships you set aside while building, or a body you didn't care for. The rungs keep rising, but the real payoff stopped rising a long time ago. So let's zoom all the way out. 9 tiers, 9 very different lives. The surprising truth? The curve of meaning in your life doesn't match the curve of your balance. It peaks somewhere much, much earlier than most people realize. For most people, real freedom lives somewhere between about 1 and 5 million. After that, freedom flattens, and complexity keeps climbing. More advisors, more meetings, more things to maintain. The optimal tier isn't the highest, it's the smartest. So the real exercise isn't how do I get wealthier? It's what tier actually matches the life I want. Write down your ideal week. Multiply your honest annual spending by 25. That's your personal target. Not social media's, not your neighbor's, yours. You don't have to climb every rung. You're allowed to step off whenever the view is enough for you. Most people never consider that option. They just keep climbing on reflex. The rarest skill in personal finance is knowing when to pause.
Use this compass instead of just a spreadsheet. Freedom, family, impact, peace. Build your wealth toward the directions that matter most to you, and every tier stops being a trade-off and starts being a tool. 3 rules work at every tier on this ladder. Define what enough means before the world does it for you. Protect your health first. It's the one currency you can't rebuild. Invest your time like it's worth more than money, because it always was. Here's what took me years to understand. The ladder isn't the point. The climb isn't the point. The life you build while climbing, that's the entire point. Forget that, and no tier ever feels like enough. Your first rung isn't $1 million. It's this week. Open one account. Automate $50. Revisit in 90 days. That's the actual first step that, compounded, takes a real person from tier 1 to tier 5. Nothing sexier. Nothing required. If you're still with me, thank you. Genuinely. Most viewers scroll past anything over 10 minutes. You sat through a full tour of 9 lives. That tells me you're serious about designing yours. And that already puts you ahead. If this gave you one honest shift today, hit subscribe, tap like, and come back next Sunday. Next video, the real retirement number at every age. Not the attention-grabbing one. The one that would actually let you step away, if you wanted to. Wherever you are on this ladder, 0, 10,000, or 10 million, the next step is the same. Be patient, be honest about enough, and care for the life the money's actually for.